Hi everybody! Welcome to the Imagine in the Park virtual art event for 2021. My name is Fortunée Shugar and I am a professional visual artist. I paint and I design beautiful jewelry, and I work in mixed media, which means that I use like a multitude of materials in my work, always experimenting with new ways of combining them to create truly unique works of art. This workshop is called Having Fun with Textures, and it's geared to children 10 to 12 years of age. And let me tell you what it's all about. Children like you are always very curious and always wanting to learn about your environment, using your senses: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and feel, touch, will help you to investigate and describe what you see and feel. Sometimes we see things, but we don't realize that they can have a really cool texture. Have you ever noticed that? Sometimes we can rub on a texture and it actually makes a sound. That's true. Different textures make different sounds. We're going to see that in a few minutes. In my workshop, you'll learn to see and to feel and maybe even to hear the sounds of texture as you reproduce them. You'll discover how to do rubbings, or what is called a frottage in French. And I bet you're wondering, what is frottage? Frottage is a reproduction of the texture of a surface created by placing a piece of paper or a similar material over the subject, and then rubbing the paper with something to deposit a mark. Now, in order to make these marks, you'll need the following supplies that you can gather from around the house. First, you'll need some computer paper or white paper, or actually any light colored paper would be fine. You can also try tracing paper. Although it's more delicate, it picks up the texture more easily too. So maybe you can gather up several pieces of a variety of papers. Try papers also that have some type or some patterns on them. Also, if you have any origami paper, you can try that as well. So this is some samplings of paper here, some different colored, light colored papers, or white, or even tracing paper. That's the first thing on your list. Second thing you'll need is something to mark that paper with. So a box of crayons works really well. And what I would recommend is that when you take out the crayons, you remove the paper wrapping around them, because we're actually going to be using the crayon this way rather than this way. You get a lot more coverage when you're using the crayon on its side. But you can also try using pencils or even markers if you want. The third thing that you need is a glue stick, or maybe a couple of glue sticks. That's how you will glue your textured paper onto a piece of construction paper, such as this one. I like the construction paper to be a dark color so that when you put your rubbings on here, they'll really pop, they'll really show up. Another thing that you might want is to get yourself a cheap sketchbook like this one from the dollar store, and you can glue your rubbings onto here and keep them, and then have a look at them from time to time and always put in new ones. Another way of displaying your rubbings is on a piece of poster board like this, and then you can put it up in your wall at home. So you will start to explore your surroundings. You can walk around the house and even go outside in search of interesting textures. And believe me, you'll find many. There are many, many, many different kinds of textures all around us. You can experience them by putting your hands on a variety of surfaces. So for example, this placemat, you can see, is woven, and I can feel the texture. Even if my eyes are closed, I can feel them. Another one would be this piece of rough sandpaper. See how you can hear it? You can even hear the texture, and it's quite bumpy. Some are bumpy, some are rough. Others can be grainy or irregular. They can be woven or even. They can be patterns. Everything has a tactile quality. And by tactile, I mean that the surface, what it feels like on your fingertips. Our fingertips are very sensitive. And here are some examples of textured surfaces that you might find around the house. Your walls in your kitchen may have some tiles, or in your bathroom. And sometimes even on the floor you can find tiles. Tabletops have textures. Heating vents, for example, along the floor are heating vents, or sometimes they're on the walls. They have textures. Sandpaper, as I said. Even things like a laundry basket. Yeah, that can have a lot of holes perforated throughout. That would make a nice texture drawing. Panel doors, you know, they have indents sometimes into the door. That would make a nice texture. Tools of different kinds. If you put out some tools on your table and you put paper on top and draw it, you'll get the outline of the tools, and it's quite cool. If you go outside, you can take an impression of tree barks, rocks, the side of a building, like if you've got bricks on the side of a building or concrete. Even your driveway has a texture. Other things like sand, wood, woven baskets, such as this, has texture on it on all the sides, and they're all different textures too. Even things like folded fabric has texture. So this is a placemat, but even when it's folded, it has texture. But in this particular case, it also has texture woven into it. So you can see the possibilities are endless. There's just so many to choose from. And the more you do, the more fun you'll have. So now it's your turn to go around the house and start exploring, looking for unusual textures. So for example, I have here on my table, I have lots of little tiles. I put my paper, and I'm starting with some tracing paper and my crayon, and I'm going to put it on the side and just rub across. Wow, isn't that incredible? Now, you have to be quite careful because the crayons break easily, as you can see. Okay, now I'll try the heating vent. Here you've got a heating vent. It's a wooden heating vent, but a metal one will do too. Just put your paper on top and rub across it. Wow. Isn't that cool? And now I've come outside. It's a nice day out today, so I'm going to try the side of my house on these bricks. Put my paper on it, and I rub until I get an impression. Well, right here too, I could do that right there. There you go. Now I'm going to do an impression of this wicker chair outside here. My paper down. So you hear the sound that it makes? Almost like a musical instrument. It's pretty cool. Now I'm going to take an impression of this tree bark here. Some paper on top here. And dust. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. I can do a different impression up here. It's a totally different texture. And this will not hurt the tree at all. So as you saw from what I was doing a few minutes ago, textures come in all varieties. So some of them are very pronounced, like this one that I did on the tabletop. And some are more subtle, like this one that I did on the brick wall. You see how they're much more subtle markings. Now, what to do with these is, I have a few suggestions. You can cut them out with scissors and glue them with your glue stick onto a piece of construction paper. They look best when they're on a dark piece of construction paper, and then display them that way, or you can glue them onto a poster board, well, on construction paper and then on to a poster board. And there's several ways of doing that. You can cut them out or tear them out by hand and glue them separately, such as this sample here. Or you can glue them, this is separate as well, but these are cut with scissors, and this is done with a pencil. And, or another suggestion I have is to overlap them, which is this one over here. You can see that makes an interesting picture too. You overlap the drawings as you're moving the same piece of paper over different areas and using different color crayons. And if you want to go a step further, you can collect your texture images that you've done over a period of time and then put them on a large poster board for your bedroom wall. So I have a sampling here of a large poster board. This one here, I've cut out the images of the textures and I've made a street scene out of them. So I've got a house, I've got a big flower, got another house on this side, and this bottom one here is of a skyline. And you see how effective it is when you use textured surfaces. It makes a really cool skyline. So you cut on different lengths, and then you can outline them with a marker, and it's really quite effective. just have fun and let your imagination just run wild. This will provide you with lots of interesting collection of textures and images that you can put away in a scrapbook somewhere and, you know, use them whenever you need them. And I think you're gonna have fun. You'll be proud of what you've been able to accomplish with this, having fun with textures. Bye for now.